Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope you already had your cup of coffee and tea. In terms of junior and entry-level jobs, I can only tell you that this year I hired 80% of what we hired at Snowflake was junior and entry-level jobs, and we are still hiring exactly junior and entry-level jobs for the reasons which were mentioned. Yeah, it's really great to be here at WAWTech in Warsaw because the story I'm going to share with you started exactly here in Warsaw. I'm Michał Gdak, and I'm gonna take you through my journey of building an AI-based startup and how, in the end, we impacted the global Snowflake platform. Before I jump into the topic, I have just one question to the audience. Could you raise your hand if you know what is Snowflake? Like, please, raise your hand if you know what Snowflake is. Sorry, I gotta move because I don't see. Okay, I guess something around 50% of people. So not bad, but I guess our employer branding team needs to still do their job. I'm just gonna give you 60-second intro, just so that everyone are on the same page, yeah? So I love to call it that we are the best AI platform for data engineers and the best data platform for AI engineers. What I mean by that, you bring whatever kind of structured, unstructured data, I mean like tables, CSVs, you can bring video, audio, whatever, and you can run SQL statements on that. You don't need to know anything else than SQL, and you derive the insights from that data. So that's it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Moving forward to my main topic, how did we build that company and how did we scale it? Yeah, because I guess that's the most interesting. So in order to tell that story, I need to move into September 2022, because this is exactly when Snowflake acquired Polish-based startup Applica. And I'm going to split my story into two. So what happened before? So how did we build it? How did we get there? And then probably some funny parts, how we managed the integration. How did we end up in a place where we are right now? Yeah. So what was Applica? Yeah. Applica was a company which back then we were working in the industry market, which was called Intelligent Document Processing. By the way, back then I even didn't know that that's the name because that name didn't exist. So what did we do? We were helping companies to automate business processes which require document understanding. Yeah, what does it mean? Yeah. So you can imagine, I know, you take an invoice. Yeah. If you have an invoice, you gotta enter it to your ERP system, SAP, whatever. So you gotta read some data from those invoices, yeah? So we helped with that. Seems like pretty trivial, but probably the moment I tell you that an invoice can have 300-400 pages and can have thousands of line items, then it starts to be more tricky. An invoice is a simple example. We're doing, for example, a lot of debt collection processes where you can imagine there are a lot of people involved, like there's a customer, there's a solicitor, there is also the courts involved, and so on, or mortgage lending, yeah? Funnily enough, mostly at the very beginning where people were, setting those projects up, they were thinking, oh, why we're doing it? We're doing it because we're gonna cut on costs, because this is the easiest way to prove why you're doing it. But farther down the line, people realize that it has much more impact than that, because it has impact on net promoter scores, it has impact on time to market. So, for example, in the mortgage lending industry in the US, people started to be able to do the underwriting, new offer just within days instead of weeks. Yeah. In terms of the team, so we were, at the moment of acquisition, we were 100 people, out of which 60, that was R&D. And within that 60 people, something around 20, 30 people, those were like literally researchers who were publishing papers. There were PhD students or PhD graduates. We had a presence in Warsaw and Poznań, that was our engineering and research office, but we also had a presence in US, that was San Francisco, Atlanta, and I guess New York. Yes, New York. So we were already building, global presence. And we had fundings mostly from NCBR, so National Center of R&D, and one commercial fund run by Cogiton and backed up by Barclays. Why I'm telling you that? What I'm trying to say is that at the moment of acquisition, we were in the startup like, okay, there is an idea, there are 10 people or 20 people. We are already, selling on the market. We had customers using those products. That's why, we were able to sell that to Snowflake, yeah? Okay, but how did we get there? Yeah, because it's nice to show you the picture. Okay, how did it look like? But how this whole story, came into fruition. So we started at the end of 2012. That was when the company was incorporated. Actually, we started like 2013. And initially, what we were doing simple bespoke solutions. Simple, like for me, simple. Bespoke solution like machine learning with NLP. So, for example, content moderation for ONET.pl in Poland, Wirtualna Polska in Poland, that kind of stuff. But we pretty quickly realized that from customer to customer, when we go, we do exactly the same thing. I mean, like, we gather the data, we clean the data, we deduplicate the data, pre-process it, train a couple of models, then, we create a workflow, we stitch those models together, and we have a product, yeah, for which we were selling to a customer. So then we realized that, okay, what we need to do, like, we can package it as a product and build a product out of it. But how do we build a product without having a competitive edge? So we needed to have a competitive edge, and like thinking through how can we stay competitive against other companies in the market, we realized that there's only one way for us available at hand. That was technology. So we said, like, we're going to be more technologically advanced than the others, but how do you do it? Yeah. So we realized that in order to, in that field, and just to be clear, 2018, so this is just 1 year after attention was invented and published by Google, we realized that, okay, we need to invest in our R&D. So we started to recruit. We recruited Filip Glanicki, who was a professor at University of Adam Mickiewicz. He brought along him a couple of his PhD students, and that's how all the things started to roll. 2018, we were also a part of Techstar Accelerator, which was backed by Barclays. That was very, very important lesson to us. And why is that? Because we realized that if we want to build a long-lasting business, we gotta go out and we gotta be on the US market. There's no other homogeneous market so big. So if you are not there, there's no way you can be successful, especially in that field. Yeah. So 2020 brings state-of-the-art results on SEM-eval. This is sentiment analysis, and it also we start to have first customers on our product. The crucial moment, honestly, was 2021. And why is that? Because in 2021 we came up with Tilt, which is text image layout aware transformer. So that was second in the world multimodal transformer. The first one was from Microsoft, Layout LM. It was, 2 months before. And we reached SOTA on many benchmarks. There are 2 benchmarks which I'm mentioning here, Doc VQA and Infographics VQA. Those are the benchmarks which were published in 2021, so exactly when our model came out. We reach the SOTA on both of those benchmarks. If you look at the current models, for example, if you look at Qwen, VL, for example, so visual transformers, you're going to see that those benchmarks are still being used and evaluated. So it's not like I'm picking the benchmarks, but I guess it wasn't the most important, wasn't the fact, that we got to state of the art. What was important that the others were like 20, 30 ANLS points behind us. And the others, that was NTT, that was Naver, that was Microsoft. So the gap was really huge, yeah? So at that point, we realized, okay, it seems like we stepped on something big. Like, even right now, other than GPT 5.2, which, nailed it a couple days back. But usually when you, surpass your competition, you surpass them by, 5 percentage points, by, 6, maybe 10, it's a lot, yeah? Here we were talking that the competition was at the level of like something around 30, and we were already at the 60, yeah? So we were like twice better than the others, yeah? So from that, we realized, it's like, okay, that's something big. So we created and built a new product, and it seems probably pretty trivial to you right now, because what we did, we just, you upload the document, you ask a question and get the answer. And I know, right now, everyone can do it with ChatGPT, Anthropic, whatever. Bear in mind, 2021, that was still 1.5 years before ChatGPT came out, and something more than 2 years before ChatGPT was able to consume images, yeah? It was only at the end of 2023 that Google beat those results. So it took them really quite long time. So we built that new product, and it was also a funny story because with that new product, I was involved in many customers' meetings. So we go around the market, explain people what we do, we showcase the product, visiting top-tier companies, financial institutions in the US, and what I was hearing is this technology is non-existing. It's impossible, yeah? Funnily enough, like everyone was like, it's just non-existing. You're talking nuts, yeah? There were even people who were telling us, oh, there's probably a human behind it, and putting those answers to those questions. And we're like, give me your document. Someone gives me the document. I run the inference and show him, like, this is the reason. It's like, no, it's not working. It's interesting. I'm going to get to you back later, yeah? Funny enough, the first time we met with Snowflake founders, so Benoit and Thierry, when they were, meeting with us, exactly the reaction was the same. They told us, like, our engineers are telling us this technology is non-existing. Yeah, it's like, fine, let me show you that it is existing. As you can see, I guess I was persuasive enough because I'm here right now speaking on behalf of Snowflake. So we convinced them that this technology is existing, yeah? So with that new product, we attracted quite a lot of customers, but comes the question, okay, why a database company like Snowflake would acquire something in intelligent document processing or document processing, product, yeah? So there are two reasons for that, to be honest. First one, yes, it is product, because at the moment of acquisition, like September 2022, this is still 2 months before ChatGPT comes out. People are still like, okay, this is really interesting. You can talk to your documents, you can talk to your images. At that point, Snowflake already had a couple petabytes of data on their stages, so this unstructured data, and there was literally very little people could do with it. I mean, there were no managed functions, to tackle those documents, yeah? So that's one thing. The other thing was the team, yeah? At the moment of acquisition, Snowflake had only the ML team, and it was consisting of something around 20, 30 people, yeah? And we were something at that point, something around 60 people, so we added 100% capacity there, yeah? Okay, so now we are acquired, and we have a very seems trivial task, yeah? We need to integrate the existing product with the portfolio of Snowflake. For us, initially, it seemed pretty trivial. Like, everything was containerized. We're running on AWS, Azure, GCP. We were even running on, not sure if everyone is aware, NVIDIA has its own cloud. So we were even running on NVIDIA cloud, and we were even running on-prem. So it's like, well, it's not going to be difficult, yeah? Like, we know how to do it. But we realized at some point that we are not solving any more document processing problem, but that we are solving data engineering problem for unstructured data, yeah? Seems like not a big difference, but it was a huge difference in terms of scale, yeah? A quick question, how many documents a startup processes a day, like Applica? Like, we already had a global presence. Anyone? That's a good answer. Single thousand, that was actually something around 2,000 to 3,000 a day. Whereas when we joined Snowflake, they asked me to process, 10,000 documents in a single query, yeah? So an order of magnitude more in a single query. So then we realized, okay, we are playing a bit different game. It's gonna be really difficult, yeah? We did a lot of optimizations because we started with performance of something around 40 flops end-to-end. 40 flops, not a lot. We ended with over 10 flops. I'm talking about end-to-end performance because I know some of you may say like, oh, wait a second. A single A10 has 120 flops, FP16, so in encoder-decoder-based model, you can get 40 flops. But if you think from end-to-end perspective, it turns out not necessarily that a single GPU is your bottleneck, yeah? Your bottleneck is the whole pipeline. So we did a lot of stuff. We did, for example, SLED for better processing of long documents. We did CPU offloading. We did dynamic batching to squeeze as much tokens on a single GPU as possible. But still, that is like maybe twice the performance which we had started with, and we needed something around like couple orders of magnitude more. So The next thing which was interesting, I told you that we were covering, all the clouds. Yeah, but we were covering, to be honest, like our production workload was running only in 2 places. One was Atman data center here in Warsaw, yeah, so on-prem, and the other was Azure in US, yeah. And then we come to Snowflake, and then they tell us, like, oh, those are the 30 deployments. You gotta be in every single of them, and you gotta support a production-ready workload, which is a bit different from what we were doing, because we were using those all cloud service providers, but for internal workloads, for test environments, development environments, and that changes the game in terms of observability, monitoring, alerting, all that stuff. That was also a huge, huge, huge change. Yeah. Last but not least, in that example, also support, yeah, because we were a small company, startup, mostly, running here in Poland, supporting companies within Europe. We had a couple customers in the US, but it wasn't, Bloomberg, Capital One, like huge corporations, rather, smaller companies. So like, fine, who cared? Like 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, fine, yeah. We joined Snowflake. The moment we hit, it wasn't even GA. The moment we hit PR, so we had 100 customers, we were already 24/7. We had to provide on-call 24/7. It took us 2 years to get that one product, which we thought is already ready. Like it was ready, customers were using it, so why shouldn't we? And it took us 2 years to get it actually to GA, so to the state that we said like, yes, it is usable by our customers, by everyone across the globe. Okay, but as we are coming from a startup, we thought like, come on, we are bigger than that. Like, what? We're gonna only stay with documents? Like Snowflake is a huge company. We have like over 8,000 customers across the globe, biggest financial institutions, insurance providers, every single market we cover. So we're like, I'm pretty sure we can do more than that, yeah? So literally just 2 months after we joined, I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to San Francisco because I believe we can impact that organization much more. So I met with the founders, Benoit, Thierry, and with VP of Engineering and Product, and we brought a couple of ideas. One of these ideas, people liked really, really a lot, that was text to SQL, yeah? So how to turn natural language into SQL. And yet again, I know that right now everyone's like, sure, I can open ChatGPT and do it. Yeah, sure, that was November 2022. How many of you could have done it back then? I believe like no one, because that was non-existing. That field wasn't existing back then, yeah? I'm gonna get back to that project, but what's important, we started to work on it in December, January, with like literally 2-3 people, yeah? And later on, the story is also pretty interesting. So what is important that through 2023 and 2024, Snowflake acquires like bunch of AI companies, ML companies, like everyone was doing it. I'm going to focus only on the one, which is Niva. Why Niva? Because there are 2 people who came with Niva who are very, very important for the further growth of generally AI within this organization and of growth of that company. Yeah? So we have one person who joined us, that's Sridhar Ramaswamy. Sridhar is a guy who was leading Google Ads at Google, so a business worth of something $115 billion a year. And he joined our organization. Initially, he became just a person responsible for the whole AI. And then right now, he's our CEO. Yeah? The other person which also joined us with that acquisition was Vivek Raghunathan. So Vivek became an engineering lead, and now engineering lead for AI, and now he's leading the whole engineering at Snowflake. Why those 2 people are important, and certain things wouldn't have happened without them, because they had very good understanding of what AI can do and can achieve, because their startup, of course, was AI. So literally the first time I met with Vivek, when he saw our text to SQL demo during Snowflake Summit, this is a conference for all the customers of Snowflake, he was like, if there's one thing we need to win, this is exactly SQL generation. Like, we gotta be the masters on that field, and we gotta win that field, because this is detrimental to our success. If we don't win it, we're just gonna lose the market, yeah? So what we do, we set up a team across Poland, US, we work on, on that product. That product has, you know, a long story. I'm not going to be going through the details. Like we started with something in 2022, like a POC product text to SQL. Then we went through more like a chat experience, Snowflake Copilot. Then we had Cortex Analyst, which is a REST API interface. And now we are down to Snowflake Intelligence, which is agentic-based solution for tackling your questions to unstructured and structured data. Why I'm saying about that and why am I talking about it? Because it's really, really great to see yet another idea, which was born here in Poland, in Warsaw, which powers through like the most important product of Snowflake in agentic space. Yeah, it wouldn't have happened if we haven't started that in 2022. Yeah. Okay, but that's not all. Yeah. So you know, we had those two themes, we had those documents, we have something for the text to SQL, so generating SQL more for engineers. But then we realized also that we have a bunch of primitives, yeah, which we're building on top. Yeah, we have primitives. At that point, we were able to, run inference, to fine-tune models, to, parse documents, to extract entities, but we didn't expose those primitives, yeah? So we realized that we are missing on one of the most important pieces. So we were able to build the products, but we didn't give those primitives to our customers to build those products. So that's exactly when we started to build, it is called AI functions right now, a bunch of AI primitives which are exposed through SQL for our customers to leverage LLMs. So we extended SQL dialect with LLMs. Within 2 years, my team built something around 17 primitives. You can do, you can parse documents, you can run machine translation, summarization, sentiment detection, you name it. And we are only one of the few platforms available on the market that can provide you models from OpenAI, that you can get models from GCP, and you can get models from Anthropic, and you can even get models from Mistral, you can get models like DeepSeek, and so on, so on. All of that on a single platform. And we just realized that those were the also primitive skill building blocks we were missing, we didn't provide to our customers, yeah? I gotta speed up because I have only 3 minutes. But you may ask, what about your research? You showed us state-of-the-art results, so many, benchmarks, where that did end up. Didn't you forget about it, or didn't, big organization tell you, no, what you do now right now is gonna be only applied AI. So, funnily enough, that wasn't the case. When I told you that I traveled to San Francisco in December 2022, one of our ideas was, okay, Snowflake needs to build a large language model, yeah? It took us a while because it's 1.5 years, and we end up with Arctic MOE, which is that was the first, at that point, that was the first hybrid MOE architecture. So you have always a dense layer and 2 experts selected from 128 experts. At that point, that was the best open source model in terms of cost and quality. So at that point, we already started to focus that costs are going to be very, very important for customers. Yeah. By the way, funnily enough, when we train our own models, when we gather the data, clean the data, deduplicate the data, pre-process, post-process, yes, we are using Snowflake for that. Yeah, so it's a great example of dog fooding. This platform is, yes, suited for that too. Okay, but then you may ask, okay, what about your Tilt, your marvelous document processing model? Yes, we improved it. We gave it a new life in last year, August. What is important is that we created a newer version of that model, which was able to fit in on a single A10, 24 gigabytes of RAM, and we are still able to infer 500 pages on this single GPU. And not only infer, we are also able to fine-tune that model on those single 24 gigabytes of RAM. No one is able to do it. And you can see on that picture, maybe we didn't hit the SOTA, because at that point we also realized that dog VQA is, if you hit anything above 94, 95, you're overfitting. Because human laborers were able to get to 98, but human also made a couple of mistakes. So recently there was a paper that probably getting to something 94, 95 is the top. But if you look at those who scored more, they're 2, 3 orders of magnitude bigger. And then yet again, it comes at a cost. Yeah? Okay, what about text to SQL? Oh, I need to speed up 1 minute. So yes, we kept on text to SQL. We topped the benchmarks like BERT SQL. We created the best model in its class. And we are keep on investing in that field because we believe like we are destined, you know, to be successful here. Mostly because if you look at the big models, they are very good at simple select statements. But then if you get into nitty-gritty data engineering pipelines, which are like, I know, 2,000 lines of code, it is not so easy. Yeah, it is a bit more difficult, especially if you take into consideration like some specific Snowflake 6-way dialects, like, you know, our, for example, AI functions, which you'd like to use. Not necessarily all the models know about them. And last but not least, we came up with a better version of our tilt, which we even renamed. Why we renamed it? Because, as you can imagine, like when we came up with an architecture in 2021, it was pretty. Right now, 2025, that architecture already had 4 years, and it was using components which were, 6, 7, 8 years old even. Yeah, so that was outdated. So we created a new visual-only based model. So we are only taking images as an input, but yet still, 24 gigabytes of GPUs, 500 pages, top the benchmarks. As you can see on the slides, we are competing with Claude for Pont Sonnet, with GPT also 5. So still being on the state of the art or very close to state of the art with much, much, much smaller models. By the way, funnily enough, we came up with that idea back in 2022. We even tested it back in 2022, but realized that technology wasn't there. Yeah, so we got back to it, 2 years later, and this is where we ended up. So if there's one thing I want you to remember is never to be afraid to push the boundaries. Dream big, be bold where others play safe, and always remember about keeping your customers in the center of what you do. Thank you.